What if the scariest thing you ever see is already happening inside your home while you sleep? Watching, moving, waiting in the dark, right beside your bed, inside your room. And once you see what's inside these recordings, sleeping peacefully won't feel so easy anymore. After experiencing a series of strange events during his sleep, this man decided to set up a camera to monitor himself overnight. What the footage captured left viewers completely horrified. At first, everything appears normal as the man sleeps peacefully in his bed. Then, something impossible seems to happen. His body slowly begins lifting off the mattress, rising several inches into the air before hovering for a brief moment. Just as mysteriously, it gradually descends back onto the bed. The unsettling clip quickly sparked debate online. Viewers believe that an evil spirit may have possessed him, and that he needed an exorcism immediately. Whatever the explanation, this is definitely not the kind of footage that helps you sleep at night. Shadow touch. This CCTV footage has left viewers completely baffled. After purchasing a property for his new restaurant, the owner began experiencing a series of strange disturbances. At first, he brushed them off as coincidences, but after reviewing this footage, he became convinced the building was haunted. Take a look. Hearing an unusual noise, the man walks into a room to investigate. Everything seems normal for a moment. Then something happens. Did you catch it? The man suddenly flinches before quickly backing out of the room. If you look closely, it appears as though a shadowy hand reaches out from nowhere and taps his shoulder before instantly vanishing. The owner later claimed the building's previous owner had passed away tragically and that his spirit never truly left the property. Midnight visitor. A homeowner was awakened late one night by an unsettling discovery. After heading downstairs, she found her television switched on despite nobody being in the room. Concerned, she checked her security footage and spotted something she couldn't explain. The living room sits empty. Then, from the darkness of the staircase, a shadowy humanoid figure slowly emerges. It lingers for a brief moment before seemingly vanishing into thin air. The figure appears far too dark and undefined to be a person, and even if it were some sort of camera glitch, the sudden disappearance only raises more questions. The woman insists the footage is completely unedited. So what exactly are we looking at? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Animal warning.
And this is just, wow, looking back, I'm like, God, really?
You've probably heard people say that animals can sense things we can't. Well, that's exactly why this next clip has so many viewers unsettled. CCTV recorded a woman inside her home when her dog suddenly became fixated on a dresser across the room. The animal stared cautiously toward it for several moments before slowly backing away and leaving the area altogether. And then it happened.
He could have toured with me at a test that day.
A bottle resting on top of the dresser suddenly shifts and crashes onto the floor all by itself. Startled by what she had just witnessed, the woman quickly gathered her belongings and left the room. Now, some viewers suggested a draft or fan may have caused the bottle to fall, but when you consider the dog's behavior moments beforehand, the timing feels a little too strange to ignore. What do you think? Night visitor. Sleep paralysis has long been linked to shadowy figures and suffocating nightmares, but proof has always been missing. Tim Morozov wanted answers. Curious and unsettled by his own experiences, he set up an infrared camera in his bedroom while he slept. What the footage later showed was disturbing. A dark figure slowly appeared near his bed and moved closer. As Tim lay frozen, unable to move, the figure seemed to press down on his chest. The resemblance to classic sleep paralysis stories was terrifying. Viewers were split. Some believed it was all staged. Others were convinced he had captured something far darker, something ancient, watching from the shadows of sleep.
Чувствовал, что меня что-то душит, но в тот момент я еще не видел видео с тепловизора.
Ghost touch. This woman was home alone, lying on her couch and scrolling through her phone, when the camera caught something horrifying. A hand suddenly reached out from behind the couch and lightly touched her hair. She screamed and jumped up instantly. That wasn't even the worst part. A strange yelling sound followed, clearly sounding like a man's voice, but it wasn't coming from her. She turned on the lights, searched the room, and found no one. Her reaction felt too real to be staged. Even skeptics admitted that. Many believed her house was haunted, and whatever touched her wasn't friendly at all. Late night horror.
Baby, wake up, wake up, wake up. Something open the...
You are never going to sleep with your lights turned off after watching this. In Colorado, while a couple was sleeping, something really unsettling took place. Suddenly, the door began knocking and the woman woke up. Seconds later, the door opened on its own, but there was no one else in the house. Small glowing grains also started to float in front of the camera. The woman anxiously started to wake up her husband, but he didn't wake up. The video ended randomly, and we don't know what happened next.
Baby, wake up, wake up!
Inside threat. If you were about to sleep, this was the kind of clip that could keep you up all night. A couple had installed a CCTV camera in their bedroom for their daughter's safety. One night, it recorded something chilling. The mother, sleeping beside the child, suddenly opened her eyes black with an inhuman gleam. She moved her head strangely, as if whispering something. Then, in one terrifying moment, she looked straight into the camera, grinning before letting out a laugh. It felt like a threat. A reminder that sometimes the real danger came from within. Sacred confrontation. A video circulating online shows a dramatic disruption during prayers at a Catholic church in North Carolina. As worshippers gathered inside, a man suddenly entered the church and began shouting, bringing the service to an abrupt halt. While some members of the congregation continued praying, others watched as the situation escalated. At one point, a woman approached the man and sprinkled holy water on him. Rather than calming down, he appeared to become even more agitated and aggressive. Concerned worshippers eventually contacted the police. Meanwhile, the priest stepped forward and appeared to perform an exorcism ritual over the screaming man. Some viewers believe the man was under the influence of a dark spiritual force, while others suspect there may have been a more ordinary explanation. Open door. This homeowner thought he was just taking a quick nap on his living room couch. Instead, it turned into a full-blown nightmare. While half asleep, he noticed the front door slowly opening. At first, he barely reacted, brushing it off like a dream. Then the door suddenly slammed on its hinges, so loud it shocked him fully awake. That was enough. He jumped up and got out of there immediately. People who later saw the footage believed it wasn't just a draft or faulty door. Some claimed it looked aggressive, like something was trying to force its way inside. Whether it was a spirit or just bad timing, the fear of his reaction said everything. Midnight visitor. A father and son set up a camera in their room to catch anything strange, but the real surprise came while they were fast asleep. The footage shows someone peeking through the door, just one glowing eye visible in the crack. Then, without warning, the door swings wide open, revealing only an empty hallway. The noise rouses the old man from sleep. And then, it gets even weirder. The old man begins speaking to no one. The strange exchange wakes his son, who stares in fear. But the father continues, calm as ever, as if this invisible guest were completely ordinary. Something tells me, whoever or whatever he was speaking to wasn't here to be friendly. Bedroom terror. This CCTV camera captured a horrifying scene inside a man's bedroom. He was first seen standing in one corner of the room, facing the wall and eerily still. Then, as the lights flickered on and off, everything changed. In less than a second, he was suddenly standing right near the camera, his eyes rolled back, his mouth hanging open. The next morning, he claimed to have no memory of what happened. Some netizens called it sleep paralysis. Others swore it was the devil possessing his body. Demon inside. A father was checking up on his daughter late at night when he got the scare of his life. As he entered her room, he found her sitting upright on the bed, violently flicking her head over and over. Alarmed by the jerky movements, he stepped closer, but then her face turned pale as she looked at him. Before he could react, she suddenly leapt off the bed and charged straight toward him, her movements wild and unnatural, as if the demon inside her had turned its attention to him next. Bedroom horror. Late one night, while this Minnesota man was asleep, he experienced a disturbing incident in his home that was also captured on his security camera dating the 28th of December 2023. Days earlier, he had used an Ouija board out of simple curiosity, after which he began suffering from restless sleep and intense nightmares, often waking with the uneasy sense that something was present nearby. As the episodes continued, he reviewed the recorded footage, which seemed to show unusual, unexplained movement occurring around him while he slept. Though difficult to interpret, the unsettling video deepened his belief that the disturbances were connected to his attempt at spirit communication, reinforcing common warnings to avoid such practices. Haunting roommate. Sometimes you don't get to choose when it comes to a roommate. Such as this. A woman, spending time with her brother in his apartment, accidentally filmed a ghost that appeared. The fact that her brother had fallen asleep made this moment even more terrifying for her. She further added that she wasn't able to see the ghost with her own eyes until the entire incident was caught on camera, even though this ghost spirit hadn't wreaked havoc and accepted peaceful coexistence. Haunted presence. At first glance, this looks like ordinary home security footage from an apartment of a lone girl asleep on the couch, until things suddenly escalate. A young woman decided to install a night vision camera after a series of events that followed, where some paranormal force would pull her awake, turning an everyday scene into something deeply unsettling. After this happened a few times, she decided to see if the camera picked up the entity, if not at least share her experience with the world. Two clips that were taken at a different time and angle showed the frequent and seriousness of the issue. Haunted bedroom. Security camera clip dating to the 8th of March 2018 captured unsettling activity in a bedroom while a young woman slept alone. The footage shows her resting peacefully before the door slowly creaks open on its own, followed by sudden crashing and banging sounds that jolt her awake. Startled and frightened, she rushes out of the room to escape the disturbance. After some time, she cautiously returns to bed, but the unexplained noises and movements resume, suggesting the strange presence had not subsided. The incident, later shared online from an undisclosed location, was described as a possible ghost-like disturbance occurring around her as she slept. Bedroom attack. A man, sleeping peacefully in a room, suddenly had things flying off shelves, chairs moving, like something angry was there. CCTV caught it all. He woke up, confused, and tried to fix everything. But when he opened the door, something was waiting. A large figure, towering and misshapen, stood there. Not a man, not a costume. Something wrong. The moment he saw it, he collapsed. The video ends there. No one knows who he was or what happened after. Some say the video got leaked. Others say it was deleted for being too real. Unwelcome guest. This homeowner went through something terrifying in the middle of the night. His bedroom door handle started moving on its own. The frosted glass showed no shadow on the other side. Nobody was there, but the handle kept shaking fast, almost aggressively. While he filmed it, his bedside drawer started opening and closing by itself too. Whatever it was, it clearly wanted his attention, or his fear. People online said it looked like a malevolent spirit trying to mess with him, maybe even trying to possess him. Paranormal room. A Reddit user shared a clip that left many viewers puzzled. In the video, the bathroom light in their daughter's room was flickering on and off. You might be thinking the bulb was faulty, but this was different. The flickering had an unusual rhythm, accompanied by strange noises. The most unsettling part came when the daughter, scared, tried to cover herself with a blanket, but it appeared to slip off on its own. Many people watching the footage believed something paranormal was happening in the room at that very moment. Cursed sleep. Some people struggled with sleepwalking, but this seemed far more disturbing. A homeowner's CCTV camera captured her wandering the house at night. She stormed into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and aggressively threw everything out. But that wasn't all the camera caught. A glass she set on the counter suddenly shattered on its own. In another clip, the rug on the floor shifted without anyone touching it. Folks online were unsettled, convinced the house was cursed by a spirit. Many even believed her strange behavior wasn't simple sleepwalking at all, but signs of possession. After all, who acts like that in their sleep? Invisible drag. A camera inside a hospital room captured something absolutely terrifying. It showed a patient sleeping peacefully when, out of nowhere, his foot lifted into the air. Slowly, it looked like he was being dragged by something no one could see. The man woke up, confused and terrified, clearly trying to process what had just happened. There was nothing around him that could explain the movement. As the clip spread online, people wasted no time jumping to conclusions. Many believed an unseen presence had interacted with him. Let me know your take on this in the comments. Rising rod. During a late-night seance inside a reportedly haunted location, a paranormal investigation team captured a moment that immediately sparked controversy. As the group conducted their session, a metal rod positioned behind the medium suddenly rises into the air, despite nobody standing anywhere near it. Given the building's reputation for ghost hunts and paranormal activity, many viewers saw the incident as evidence of a poltergeist-like presence. But not everyone was convinced. Skeptics quickly pointed out that the rod follows an unusually smooth arc, leading some to suspect it may have been pulled using a fishing line or thin string hidden from view. The debate became so heated that moderators eventually locked discussions surrounding the clip. While no string was ever conclusively identified, the possibility couldn't be ruled out. So this one's for you to decide. Poolside possession. A CCTV camera captured a man cleaning his pool when something terrifying happened. He suddenly dropped his tool and tilted his face straight upward, frozen in place. At that exact moment, a dark humanoid shadow appeared on the right side of the screen, slowly approaching him before vanishing as a woman entered the frame. Horrified, she tried to shake the man from his trance, but instead he grew more erratic, fidgeting and moving in sharp, jerky motions that made her step back in fear. Folks online believed the shadow had possessed him, claiming it was undeniable proof that devils could indeed inhabit humans. Opening door.
How was that?
Doing golf practice at home wasn't why this clip went viral. The weird part came seconds later. A woman was lining up her shot when the door behind her suddenly opened on its own. The couple called out, asking who it was. No answer. The guy walked over and checked the hallway. Nobody was there. Then, out of nowhere, a chair slid across the floor by itself. You could hear them panic. and the way they reacted didn't make it look staged at all. People said something had walked in through that door and made itself known. A ghost? A spirit? Whatever it was, it clearly didn't want to stay invisible.
Just get out of the house.
Home Alone.
Hey!
If you're home alone, skip this one. A man heard something weird coming from the living room. He grabbed his camera because that sound, it didn't feel right. As he peeked around the corner, there it was. A face. Something pale, with big, dark eyes, just peeking from behind the doorframe. It didn't move. He yelled at it to back off, but it didn't care. It didn't flinch. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't friendly. And I wasn't afraid. Some say it looked like an entity, something inhuman. That video's still haunting people online.
Get out!
Cursed Home. Something strange happened in a house in Minnesota in September 2020. While a woman was busy with her daily chores, she felt like someone else was present with her in the kitchen. Suddenly, the objects started to move on their own behind her. First, a lemon dropped from the table, and the light above started to swing slowly. She turned back to look and found nothing there. Then, the bottle on the table fell over. Suspecting something unusual, she turned around to grab the bottle. What happened next shook her to the core. Something had dragged the bottle and thrown it on the floor while she was reaching for it. Shaken by what she had seen, she ran towards her room. The video ended abruptly, and no one knows what happened next. Strange curse.
Gemma!
This terrifying clip shocked many people online. A family was sitting together in their living room when something otherworldly unfolded. Watch the woman closely at first. Everything seemed normal, but then her face appeared to change, aging instantly before their eyes.
You alright? Gemma!
Alarmed, her family asked what was wrong, but she sat completely still, unresponsive. Suddenly her head dropped forward as though she had fallen unconscious. Moments later, she raised it again and her face was back to normal. The strange transformation had vanished. Disturbingly, she acted as though nothing had happened, with no memory of the event at all.
Your face changed.
Your face just completely changed.
Haunted home. The couple, Lee and Stacy Hart, have been living inside a haunted house for years and kept sharing their experiences on their YouTube channel, but this one was the creepiest one yet. As they were asleep, a tall shadow appeared inside their bedroom and moved toward the bed. The moment it reached Stacy, her body was suddenly pulled down, completely off the mattress. She slowly dragged herself back up as Lee woke up too. And for the first time, the couple finally began considering moving out of the house for good, as things were now getting out of hand. Reflected spirit. While practicing speech in the bathroom mirror, this recorder didn't realize that he was being watched. A hotel guest in South Korea was filming himself, not realizing that his room was haunted. One of the smaller mirrors captured the reflection of a ghost or a spirit that was watching him from a near distance. The figure was either veiled with an extremely pale face. Surprised by the incident, he shared a reel on TikTok that ghost reflection on TV, captured in scary video. TikTok went viral in the paranormal community.
Is it just me? Or was somebody sitting next to me on my f***ing couch?
Nanny cam activity. This clip was shared by a young mother on her TikTok, showing a moment when paranormal activity began around the crib of her baby. Although there is no hearable audio from the camera, the young mother shared having heard a loud thud sound, to which she responded by immediately checking up on the baby. Before reviewing the camera clip, she removed the baby from the room out of safety concerns. Mirror memory. This homeowner was asleep when his room camera captured something disturbing. In the mirror, a small figure could be seen passing from one side to the other, short, quick, almost playful. When he reviewed the footage, he broke down. He believed it was the spirit of his niece, who had passed away months earlier. He used to babysit her often, and she loved running around his room, laughing and playing. The movement in the mirror felt too familiar to ignore. He believed she came back to visit him one last time, not to scare him, but to remind him she was still there. Curtain Ghost. A woman had just moved into a new home, completely unaware of its eerie history. One night, after she closed the curtains and went to sleep, they suddenly opened on their own. The next morning, when she checked, she was completely shocked and confused. Little did she know, this seemingly small event was actually the first warning, an indication that something in the house wanted her to leave. Sometimes, the earliest signs are quiet but impossible to ignore. Reaching arm. Many parents were horrified after seeing this baby monitor footage. A child lay asleep when something like an arm seemed to reach out toward them. Panicked, the parents feared an intruder, but the house showed no signs of forced entry. That left only two unsettling possibilities. Either someone inside the home was deliberately trying to scare them, or something far more sinister was hiding beneath the bed. Creepy grandmother. This man installed a surveillance camera in his grandmother's room after noticing something strange every night. She seemed to go missing. He wanted simple answers. But what the footage revealed was far from simple. In the video, his grandmother slowly stood up from her bed and moved out of sight in an unusual, stiff manner. Moments later, she reappeared, but this time walking on all fours, almost like a dog. Then she suddenly paused, turned toward the camera, and gave a chilling smile before the video cut off. Haunting smile. A worried father shared CCTV footage of his daughter behaving in a way that left everyone disturbed. She had been sleeping peacefully in the living room when, without warning, she sat up straight. Then she began bobbing her head from side to side, an eerie smile slowly spreading across her face. The unsettling grin didn't fade, it only grew wider. Some viewers believed she was simply sleepwalking, though her movement seemed far too deliberate. Others were convinced this was something darker, claiming the girl might be possessed and urging the father to seek help before it got worse. Whatever it was, the footage felt undeniably sinister. Demonic possession. This strange footage went viral for the eeriest reason. Imagine coming across something like this in the dead of night. The clip showed a man recording himself making strange gestures and moving in an animalistic way. Viewers claimed they felt uneasy just watching it. Some even said they could sense a dark, negative energy through the screen. Many were convinced the man was possessed by a demon, while others speculated it might be a ritual or trance caught on camera by accident. Whatever it was, people agreed on one thing: it didn't feel human at all. Ghostly student. Surveillance camera footage from a school classroom captured something truly paranormal. The door opened on its own, and a girl walked in. After a few steps, she turned toward the camera, and her eyes were glowing. At that moment, a chair suddenly fell. She gave a chilling stare at the camera, and then walked out of the room. After this video surfaced, stories from staff about a student spirit who appears late at night finally made sense. Now, the proof is on camera. Possessed member.
Face has completely changed. Doesn't look like a person.
A group of paranormal investigators explored a building in England called The Cage, a former prison known for strange happenings. In the middle of the night, they performed a seance to contact the spirits said to haunt the place. One team member watched from another room and saw something terrifying. The woman's face completely distorted, her eyes glowed, and then she walked away. After that night, she was never seen again. It seemed like a spirit had taken control and led her wherever it wanted.
Right, Debbie, you need to come down here for a minute, please.
Shadow follower. A man heard strange voices coming from a room and decided to investigate. As he stepped inside, a shadow suddenly appeared on the floor, moving in ways that made his heart race. But how could this be? The house was never supposed to be haunted. Later, the homeowner revealed the truth earlier that day. He had visited a graveyard. It seemed the shadow had followed him home, refusing to leave, as if some restless presence had claimed the house the moment he crossed the threshold. From that day on, every corner of the home felt alive with something unseen. Kitchen poltergeist. Footage taken from a home in Clarksville, Tennessee, where a woman, on multiple occasions, noticed activity in her kitchen as the cabinet drawers and doors would open on their own. While this left her uneasy, a very similar effect was noticed by her neighboring house.
That knife fell out of that little knife container thing.
Where a man filmed a knife that was randomly pulled from the stand and dropped on the wooden floor. As both cases came to light, these strange and unexplained movements were directly linked to a case of poltergeist.
No.
Haunted hostel. On the 15th of October, 2014, this woman inside a girl's hostel was returning to her room after cleansing her face. Suddenly, she was shoved forward by something invisible. She turned around in confusion, but to her surprise, there was no one behind her. But that was not even the creepiest part. If we slow down the CCTV footage, a faint shadow could be seen behind her right before the shove. The other girls staying in the hostel had often complained about strange disturbances, but management never took them seriously. But now, the proof was finally caught on camera. Sleep dragged. This girl was fast asleep when her body suddenly began sliding down the bed, as if something invisible had grabbed her legs. At first, she remained unconscious, but eventually woke up in panic. She desperately tried to clutch the smooth floor, grabbing anything that could give her leverage, but nothing worked. The unseen force was slowly pulling her out of the room. The girl was only freed once she was outside the room. This started after they'd thrifted old items for her room. Now they believe those objects were jinxed, and they'd have to perform a cleansing ritual. Spooky singing wife. A security camera installed by a Portuguese man after his wife began behaving in ways he found deeply concerning, so that he wanted to capture it on the camera as proof. In the footage, his wife stands over him as he sleeps, staring down and singing strangely, which those who watched the clip described as entirely inconsistent with any ordinary sleepwalking or night behavior. The impression the footage left on viewers was one of something having taken hold of her, a presence operating through her in the dark, while her husband remained asleep beneath her gaze. What would you do if the camera in your own bedroom showed you this? Spirit underground. At 4:23 p.m., during a routine shift at a mine in Chile, Jordan's excavator reportedly indicated the presence of a person nearby, even though no workers were supposed to be in that section. Curious, he checked the machine's onboard cameras and allegedly saw a still, human-like silhouette standing near a corner as if observing the area. However, when he stepped outside to verify, the spot appeared empty. He then attempted to record the area on his phone, but the camera struggled to focus, producing a distorted image. Even when he zoomed in, the result remained unclear and unsettling. For Jordan, whatever the excavator detected that afternoon seemed beyond normal human perception, though still registered by the machine's sensors. Paranormal presence. Back in June 2025, a young woman on TikTok, @Melodies, began filming at her place and uploading on her channel, where paranormal activity started to appear for several days in a row. At first, it called her by name, but seconds later, she realized she was alone.
Why didn't anyone tell me that if you have yeah?
The next day, this unseen entity was reported to be opening doors everywhere that the source would go.
Fast forward this so you guys don't have.
At a point after the door opened, she randomly started to point the camera inside while filming, where she accidentally saw a kind of face, but only through the lens of the camera. The very next day, she noticed her pet cat staring towards the fence, almost as if it were stunned, but nobody was to be seen. Cut undone. The newly hired chef reportedly began experiencing a series of unusual incidents in the restaurant kitchen shortly after starting her job. According to her account, utensils occasionally shifted position on their own, containers appeared to move when no one was nearby, and items sometimes ended up on the floor without an obvious cause. Initially, she dismissed the events as simple mistakes or distractions during busy shifts. However, one incident left her particularly unsettled.
And then I cut it in half once more right there. You can see me cut it, right? I go get a bag.
After cutting a lemon into several pieces, she briefly stepped away to collect packaging materials. When she returned moments later, the lemon allegedly appeared whole and untouched. Confused by the repeated occurrences, she reviewed security footage and later shared several clips online in hopes of finding an explanation.
And I touch it and I'm like, why is it not cut in half?
Mysterious ritual. Next is a video that many viewers believe shows an alleged spirit summoning ritual. After appearing online in 2013, the footage gained attention for a series of unusual events captured inside a house. A man is seen sitting beside a marked circle on the floor, scattering what appears to be salt around it. Moments later, candles begin going out one by one, while lights throughout the room flicker unexpectedly. As the activity intensifies, several objects appear to move without visible contact. The most unsettling moment occurs when a doll placed inside the circle seems to shift position before suddenly disappearing from view. The man in the video was never publicly identified. Pulled bicycle. In 2025, a surveillance clip circulating online appeared to show a cyclist involved in a highly unusual incident during what seemed to be an otherwise quiet night. According to those discussing the footage, the woman suddenly appeared to be pulled backward from her bicycle before disappearing from view in a manner many viewers found difficult to explain. The bicycle reportedly remained behind, while the figure was no longer visible in the recording. As the clip spread, online speculation intensified, with some pointing to a dark shape visible near the scene and others suggesting video manipulation or camera distortion. No verified information identifying the woman or explaining exactly what occurred in the footage has ever been publicly confirmed. Apartment ghost.
Jeez.
A lone tenant relaxing in his apartment one evening was reportedly interrupted by a sudden commotion coming from the kitchen, just as he was about to settle in for the night. According to the footage, several utensils unexpectedly ended up scattered across the floor, prompting him to investigate and clean up the mess. Believing the disturbance had passed, he returned to the living room, only to notice what appeared to be a strange figure reflected in a nearby surface. The sight reportedly left him shaken, and he chose to leave the apartment for a period of time. The entire incident was recorded on camera, later attracting attention from viewers who debated what, if anything, had been captured. Harrowing activity. A janitor who was carrying out cleaning duties during a night shift at a local clinic reportedly captured a series of unsettling events that unfolded throughout the building. According to the footage, strange sounds resembling distant cries echoed through the otherwise empty hallways before other unusual disturbances began occurring. Chairs appeared to shift position, doors slowly opened on their own, and medical carts seemed to move without anyone nearby. As the activity continued, the worker documented what he could on camera before later sharing the recordings online. The footage quickly drew attention, especially after claims emerged that the clinic stood on the grounds of a long-abandoned asylum. To this day, No widely accepted explanation has been offered for what was captured that night. Toys going off.
Her sleeping with me in my bed tonight. She kept saying that she was really scared of something in her room.
The concerned mother started recording after noticing several of her young daughter's toys repeatedly activating on their own without any apparent reason. In the video later shared on Instagram, electronic toys can reportedly be heard buzzing and making sounds despite not being touched. According to her account, the incidents became so frequent that her daughter grew frightened and chose to sleep beside her. The most unsettling part, she claimed, came later when the sounds continued from another room while no one was nearby. The mother further stated that the batteries had already been removed from the toys, yet some allegedly continued activating at random intervals. The footage has since sparked debate between those suggesting technical malfunctions and others favoring more unusual explanations. Workshop activity. For a startup business, this young carpenter rented an old office on the outskirts of Mexico City, where a security camera later recorded a series of unexplained late-night events. The footage begins with the resident turning off the lights and heading to rest, leaving the workshop completely dark and empty. Shortly after, faint and unusual movement appears to occur near the bathroom area, with shifting shadows visible in the dim surroundings. Moments later, several large wooden planks are seen falling to the floor without any clear cause or contact. The incident has since been shared online, with viewers divided between attributing it to structural issues in the old building or something more unusual being present. Tattooing interruption. Working on tattooing a client named April Nurse, both reportedly noticed a series of paranormal activity unfolding in a clip in June 2024. It started on the supply table and began moving on its own without anyone making contact, with the motion becoming more pronounced as the session continued. Both women paused the tattoo appointment to observe what was happening, only to notice additional disturbances occurring around the room. The most startling moment reportedly came when a chair suddenly slid across the floor without an obvious cause. Growing increasingly uncomfortable and unable to explain the activity, they decided to stop the session and leave the studio. Footage later shared online sparked debate among viewers over what had actually been captured. Birthday interruption. As a group of friends celebrated a birthday, something interrupted. The moment that a single candle being blown out might have been explained away, but over a dozen candles went out simultaneously, all at once, without anyone leaning in. The footage captured the moment clearly enough that the coincidence argument dissolved before it could form. Whatever extinguished those candles did so with a completeness that left the group visibly unsettled, and the footage has since circulated as one of those clips that is difficult to explain away through draft, breath, or any ordinary cause, given the number of flames that went out in the same instant. Hand from under locker. An influencer walking through the rusted lockers of an abandoned school in China was filming the empty corridor when something appeared from inside one of the metal lockers that should have contained nothing. A pale hand slid slowly out from within, reaching into the hallway from a space barely large enough to hold a school bag. The explorer recoiled immediately, and the footage captures the moment with enough clarity that no one who watched it found the reaction difficult to understand. The school had been abandoned for years. Nothing should have been inside that locker. Something was. Motorcycle spirit. On the 4th of January, 2026, in the middle of the night, a motorcycle began moving on its own, spinning and behaving as though driven by someone. Those who witnessed it claimed no one was anywhere near the vehicle. Their explanation: offered with quiet certainty, was that a recently deceased relative had returned that night and that his presence was still among them. Whether that interpretation holds or not, the footage of a motorcycle moving without a rider in the late night has not produced a more mechanical explanation since it was shared online. Vacant house activity.
Chase at the bottom part was not blinking, it was on, but it wasn't.
A realtor in Minnesota who was just stepping out of his vehicle to inspect one of the properties that was on sale. I noticed something unusual when the lights inside the vacant property began switching on and off repeatedly in an irregular pattern that did not match any normal electrical behavior. Concerned about possible trespassing or tampering, he chose not to enter alone and contacted emergency services. Officers later arrived and conducted a full search of the building, finding no signs of occupants or forced entry. Once the property was confirmed empty, the lighting system appeared to function normally again. The cause of the earlier activity has not been determined.
The kitchen light being on.
Mysterious prints.
I am home alone with 2 cats.
A middle-aged woman in Indianapolis who lived alone with only her 2 cats discovered something on the wall of her home that immediately raised concerns. Mysterious print markings resembling the handprints of a person positioned next to a window. The obvious explanation of a burglar or intruder was considered, but nothing was missing from the property, and the window was confirmed locked. Whatever had left those prints on the wall of her home had apparently entered without force, taken nothing, and departed without any trace beyond the marks it left behind on the wall for her to find.
They don't have hands. I did not do that.
Alexa department store. During Holy Week, an Alexa smart device inside a closed department store in Mexico City on the 27th of March, 2024, began reciting the Lord's Prayer in the early hours of the morning with no one inside the building. The incident went viral, with many describing it as paranormal, given the timing of a major religious observance and the location, a sealed commercial space after hours. Whether the device malfunctioned in a theologically remarkable way or something else was speaking through it, the clip has continued circulating without a satisfying technical explanation from anyone who has reviewed the footage since. Kitchen activity. A homeowner in London who suspected his property was haunted placed a recording camera inside in 2013 and left it running overnight. Around 4 a.m., things began falling apart, items dropping on their own, cabinet doors swinging open, and objects from inside being thrown around the space without any visible cause or person to account for the movement. The footage captured across those early morning hours has circulated online as one of the more comprehensively documented residential poltergeist incidents from that period, with the scale and variety of the activity, making it difficult to attribute to settling or any single environmental cause acting alone through the night. Ghost passenger. A private transport driver in Mexico noticed something strange on his security monitor during a daytime shift. His camera showed a person sitting in the back seat. When he turned around, no one was there. The seat was empty. The camera continued detecting a human form, while the physical space remained visibly unoccupied, and his terror on review was evident in the footage. Whether a technical glitch, a reflection, or energy trapped in a vehicle after an accident, as many suggested online, what his camera detected and what his eyes confirmed refused to agree for the remainder of that shift. Possessed woman's release.
Oh my God.
During a church service in New Orleans, an attendee began filming after noticing an older woman in the congregation who was not behaving normally. The clip uploaded to TikTok on the 25th of November, 2025, showed the woman's eyes to be completely white as she began exhibiting behavior consistent with possession, a reaction that witnesses described as appearing to be triggered by the words of the priest as the service continued. Whether the priest's words were driving something out of her or drawing it further forward, The footage captured a moment inside that New Orleans church that those present are unlikely to have forgotten by the time the service ended.
Back up, Father.
Witchcraft powder. Security camera footage captured two women arriving at the home of Luis Martinez, a businessman from Valledupar, at around 6 a.m. While one kept watch, the other systematically sprinkled a white powder across the terrace of the property, a substance that Martinez himself later identified as witchcraft powder. The precision and deliberateness of the act, combined with the early morning timing and the watchman arrangement between the two women, left no ambiguity about the intent behind the visit. Martinez shared the footage publicly, and the clip circulated widely as a documented example of targeted black magic being carried out against a specific individual at their own home. Store ghost?
Vean, ya le hablé a mi supervisor.
Two shopkeepers in New Mexico filmed an encounter to share with their store's owner as evidence of what had been happening on the premises. The activity started with a couple of bags of chips being knocked to the floor before expanding across the store, multiple refrigerator doors being opened and interfered with one after another in a progression that continued for nearly a minute.
Ahí ya empezaron a abrir también. Vean, observen.
At the end of the encounter, one of the storage back doors opened, and whatever had been moving through the store appeared to leave through it. The footage gave the owner a visual account of what the two shopkeepers had been experiencing inside the building after hours.
Toda la tarde estaba pasando esto.
Texas Ghost Girl. Footage shared on the 9th of January 2023 from a residence in Texas captured something appearing behind a little girl playing with her phone that the girl herself appeared entirely unaware of. A figure described as a ghost girl materialized behind her without the little one reacting, visible on camera in a way that those who later watched the footage found deeply unsettling given the proximity. According to accounts associated with the house, a girl had passed away there in a tragic incident, and a cleansing had been performed on the property. The footage suggested that whatever the cleansing had been intended to remove was still present in those rooms. Car chasing silhouette. A traffic camera installed on a street in Auckland in May 2014 captured something deeply unusual late one night. Within milliseconds of a fast-moving vehicle passing the frame, the shadow of a humanoid-like entity appeared, moving horizontally, jumping, and sprinting across the wall at a speed that matched or exceeded that of the passing car. The clip is brief, and the image is ambiguous enough that skepticism is understandable, yet no evidence has emerged confirming that what appeared in those milliseconds after that vehicle passed was anything ordinary. Whatever moved across that Auckland wall that night did so at a speed that belongs to nothing recognizable. Unseen presence. TikToker @Tita80 shared footage on the 8th of August 2020 from a stay at the historic Santa Maria Inn, a property with a well-established reputation for being haunted. While the human guests experienced the usual ambiguity of old buildings and unfamiliar sounds, the family dog made its own assessment considerably more clearly. The animal detected or sensed something that its owners could not, reacting with a fixity and unease that those who know the inn's history found entirely consistent with what the property is said to hold. Whatever the dog was responding to in those rooms, it was not interested in the kind of reassurance that works on people. Haunted kitchen.
See, you left the fridge open.
One of the sharing accommodation tenants returning to her apartment in San Antonio, Texas, reportedly began feeling a strange presence in the kitchen and started recording in hopes of capturing evidence of what she was experiencing. The footage that she later shared shows unusual activity that appears to take place within the kitchen area. The recording quickly drew attention online, with viewers commenting that the level of visible disturbance seemed more direct than typical, ambiguous residential claims. While many debated possible explanations ranging from environmental factors to electrical or structural causes, the tenant maintained that the events reflected a presence she had sensed firsthand inside the apartment.
Oh my god.
Hospital ghost. CCTV footage from Mercy General Hospital captured something that neither of the two nurses sitting at the station noticed in real time on the 7th of February, 2026. A human-shaped figure rushed past them at a speed that left no time for reaction. No footsteps audible, no disturbance of the air around them, and no awareness from either nurse that anything had just moved past their station at extraordinary speed. It was only on review of the footage that the figure became apparent. No one could explain what it was. It moved like something that was not constrained by the speed at which people ordinarily move through hospital corridors. Unsettling discovery.
It's a f***ing suitcase, Jasmine, no. Jasmine, no, turn around!
On the 19th of April, 2026, after a previous unsettling Randonautica experience that had been dismissed as a coincidence, the source decided to use the app again. What it led to this time was considerably harder to dismiss a suitcase with a dark red liquid leaking from its sides, discovered in the location the app had directed them to. The find amplified what had already been an unsettling outing, and left the source questioning whether the app was simply generating random coordinates or directing users towards something that existed in those locations independently of the Video 1 algorithm. The suitcase and its contents were not explained in any follow-up shared publicly since.
No, just keep going, it's fine. Yes, I got it.
Demon tattoo. After a man had a large demon tattooed across his entire back, wings outstretched, sharp claws, eyes that seemed to follow the nights in the couple's Mexican home, became something neither had anticipated. Sheets flew across rooms. Doors slammed open from the locks. The woman was shoved against a wall, hard enough to leave bruises. A deep guttural laugh came from somewhere inside the house that belonged to no human throat. In the darkness, she claims to have seen a black shadow standing behind her sleeping husband, right where the tattoo sits. They sleep with the lights on now. It hasn't helped. Attic shed terror. The uploader's wife had been hearing noises around the house at night for several days, which were initially dismissed as settling sounds or ordinary disturbances. However, the situation escalated when the attic door reportedly began moving on its own, prompting her husband to investigate and find nothing inside. On a later night, banging sounds from an outdoor shed led him to record the area where a brief figure was allegedly seen running past before disappearing into the darkness. Around 2 a.m., on another occasion, the noises returned near the shed again, and further footage was captured during the final investigation. The recording suggested the activity was not random, leaving the source of the disturbances unidentified and ongoing.
2 a.m. The wife just woke up, said she thought someone was playing in our back shed.
Ohio shadow spirits.
Now recording?
A resident who was looking to purchase a property in a residential area of Ohio on the 16th of February, 2023, began noticing something unusual about multiple vacant houses in the neighborhood she was viewing. Across several different properties, shadow spirits were captured on camera inside the empty buildings. Not one isolated incident, but a pattern of activity recurring across multiple homes in the same area. The footage she collected from the viewings has since been shared and drawn significant attention for what it suggests about the neighborhood itself, that whatever was present in those houses was not confined to a single property, but appeared to be occupying the area more broadly.
There's nobody in that house. There's nobody at all.
Astronaut camera glitch. Astronauts standing directly in front of a crowd and in full view of everyone present somehow failed to appear on the recording cameras of multiple audience members simultaneously. The screens of several phones showed an image or background entirely different from what was physically visible in front of them, as though the cameras were capturing a different scene altogether, rather than what stood before the lens. No editing has been identified in the footage, and no technical explanation for why multiple devices from different angles all failed to record what was plainly visible to the naked eye has been offered. What was interfering with those cameras, and why, remains unanswered. Potting shed encounter.
Son las 3 de la mañana.
This gardener, who was working in a potting shed at a residence in Miami, Florida, reportedly experienced a series of unusual disturbances shortly after starting the job on the 6th of March 2025, hours after sundown. According to accounts, the activity began subtly with a hanging pot moving on its own, before escalating into more noticeable interference within the confined shed space. The gardener claimed the situation intensified further when the lighting inside the shed began to behave erratically, creating a sense of being actively watched or targeted. Having only recently begun working at the property, the experience came as a sudden shock. Manchester office. During the early hours of the 1st of November, 2012, security staff monitoring CCTV at Castlefield House on Liverpool Road in Manchester witnessed a chain of events that escalated across multiple cameras. Office property and hardware throughout the building were targeted and damaged as the activity moved from one area to the next, as the guards flicked between feeds trying to track what was causing the disturbances. The footage seen by those security guards that night across those cameras has since circulated as one of the more comprehensively documented cases of office paranormal activity, with the progression of damage across the building suggesting something that was moving deliberately through the space rather than isolated incidents occurring independently. Nahual, Chile. A night vision camera in a community in Chile captured footage that has spread widely online after showing what appeared to be a dog undergoing a disturbing transformation as it walked through the street. As the animal moved forward, its form began to deform and take on a human shape until what was walking through those streets appeared to be a person dressed in black, moving upright with hands in pockets where a dog had been moments before. Viewers immediately drew connections to the Nahual, a figure from Mexican and broader indigenous folklore said to be capable of transforming between human and animal forms. The footage has not been debunked since it surfaced. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again,